today's episode of The F Word, and today's F word is football, and we are joined by Rob Butland from Truro City Football Club.
Oh.
Hello. So, tell us a little bit about Truro City Football Club. It's recently come back home, hasn't it?
It certainly has, yeah. So, I mean, the club itself it's actually 135 years old. It's our 135th year. But for the last 4 years, we've had to play our games out of Cornwall. I joined the club about this time last year, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster year. We've had to basically Truro Road to Truro City Stadium via Gloucester, which was a good day out. But it was great. We had our first game back at home, back at the new Truro City Stadium on August 10th. We've had 7 or 8 games since, and it's going really, really well.
Good. And how about your journey? How did you fall into, get involved with the club?
Fell into probably is about right. I mean, I moved to Cornwall when I was sort of 15, and I was a bit lost for a bit as a teen. Didn't really know kind of what I was doing because I was a long way from where I was brought up. And when I graduated, because I went to university here, when I graduated, a lot of my friends were kind of leaving Cornwall in search of opportunity. And I just got here and I just got settled, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just go out and get a job and work. And I did some really cool things that gave me some good experience. But I ended up co-founding a community sports team, a community rugby league team. Did that for 7 or 8 years, and that allowed me to wear lots of different hats. Get a chance to do some things that I wanted to do, but also learn to do some things that I didn't know how to do or I didn't necessarily want to do. So did that, and then ended up doing, I guess, what a lot of people want to do, and that's getting a job out of it. And I worked full time for a couple of years running a rugby league club, and that was a lot about the commercials and a lot about sort of building commercial profiles and things and day to day operational stuff. And then my bosses decided to buy a football club, and the rest, it really is history, I guess. Yeah.
So what does a typical day look like for you in your role?
Uh,
Or week? Maybe we should go for a longer
we
time
haven't got to
span.
typical yet.
Okay.
We're still very new, and we are a small team. So, as in, we want to be a really big club, but we've started with a very small team, kind of off the pitch. So we've got this new stadium. We're still very much getting that to how we want it. There's lots of things that we're improving all the time. We had a big game the other night where we had 3,000 people there and a fireworks display, and which was great. But you always take learnings from that, and always little things that come out of it that you haven't sort of had the feedback before. So yeah, there's lots of still to get after. So that we're not a typical day yet, but most of the day I spend sort of up at the stadium, checking in with all the different things that need to be checked in. And I sort of have some secretarial duties. I have some actual sort of physical stuff to look after at the stadium. I'm also at the moment kind of handling some of the commercial bits and pieces as well. So I'm enjoying it, and it's very varied, I guess. Yeah.
Good. And the journey for the club itself, we touched on it at the very start around it coming back to Truro. Talk us through a little bit about what has happened in that interim, why it kind of went out and why it's been back.
Well, so Truro City's original home was Truro Road, where the Lidl is at the top of town there, and for it had a long and kind of drawn out process, but ultimately the land that the club was on got sold for development. And in the interim period, there was no ground in Cornwall suitable for Truro City to play at the level that it competes at, because we're at what they call Step 2, which is now National League South. But because in Cornwall we are to some degree limited in terms of facilities, and that's because we've never really had that big professional sports team before that gets like thousands and thousands of people. So we've never had the stadia. We haven't necessarily got the facilities around it. And so we had to play out of Cornwall, and that was a really difficult thing. And the people that were involved in the club then had to work really hard. So we were playing home games in Plymouth. And then just after we took over the club, and I mean just after, it became apparent that we weren't going to be able to finish last season at the ground that we were playing at. And so we had to scramble to find somewhere to play. Did a deal that didn't work out, but we basically had to end up playing the rest of our season in Gloucester. So we played 10 games in 20 days in Gloucester as Truro City Football Club. And, it was bonkers, but we got there, we got to the end of the season, and, we had a little bit of a day or two off, and then it was all about how do we got to open a stadium now, and and get ready for that, because that's the great thing, is that whilst all that was going on, there was a lovely new stadium being built for us.
Just across the road from here.
Yeah, literally, like,
Literally,
yeah, not
yeah.
not far away, and it was built in a really short space of time, actually, which is great. But then we were on a short trajectory to kind of get it set up, so
Yeah.
we had to put everything into it, from literally ticketing systems, EPOS. We had to do all the get organize all the concessions, then all the fit outs of everything. Literally writing a match day operations strategy, how we're going to operate it, what does all the documentation look like, who's going to operate it, how are we going to operate all those things. And
Yeah.
I'd never done that before, but you just apply your what you've learned on the journey, and you get on with it. But no, it's, we're really, really pleased with what we've got, and like I said, it's not. There's still things to work on, but we're just so happy to be home. And the crowds we've been getting is like 1,500 people average,
Amazing.
so that just shows that Cornwall wants that
Yeah.
kind of central focal team that can kind of represent, and that's why we did a little bit of a rebrand. We kind of beefed up the Cornish element,
Yeah.
because we are the only city in Cornwall. That's why we
Yeah.
say we are the city, because we are the city of Cornwall, and we are kind of a couple of divisions above other clubs. And we've got this weird thing in Cornwall where we kind of we and I go back to what I said about when I graduated, all my friends were leaving Cornwall in search of opportunity. We have got that mindset in Cornwall, though. If you want to make it, you got to leave, and we're telling our kids that as well. By the way, like, if you want to be good at sport, you've got to leave to go and play for X club or whatever. And whilst that doesn't mean you can't do it, and it doesn't mean you can't go and be great at it and have a good journey, we need to be able to provide that in Cornwall, you know. And that's what professional sport will do for any community and any group of people. Is it does three things: it raises aspirations, it provides entertainment, and it's a catalyst for physical activity. You raise the aspirations because kids have to, if they want to be it, they have to see it. Sounds corny, but it's true. The physical activity builds you a fan base, because they're doing it kind of in and around where you're doing it, and it catalyzes the interest. And then providing entertainment, well, if you live in Cornwall, we all know that it can be an expensive place to live, and a
Yeah.
day out can be really expensive. But actually, if a family of four can go to, or a family of five can go to a football match for 30 quid, and have a really nice day out and watch a team play against teams from all over the south of the UK, it's a really nice thing to be able to do. And again, we want to get it to the point where we can have kids who grow up, want to be footballers or whatever sport they want to play, and they can stay in Cornwall
Yeah.
and they can do it in Cornwall. They don't have to spend their life in a car, not going to bed on time, not eating their meals on time, doing all those things.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important that we, as the highest ranked football club in Cornwall, it's really important that we kind of set that bar and work towards that. We've got a lot to do. I mean, look, we're a million miles away from it, from being what we want to be.
Yeah.
But we recognise that we've got to improve. We recognise we've got to get better, and we're putting the building blocks in place now to really get there. And it's exciting times.
And I've got friends whose children are in sort of various academies, football
Yeah,
academies outside of county,
yeah, yeah.
and I've seen the commitment from their entire
Oh,
family
yeah. And it is a
when,
family order. Yeah.
yeah, and the pressure
Mm,
put to be present and be at training and be at all the matches and things, and driving up the A30, up the M5, 2-3 times a week to be able to nurture your child's interest in a sport
yeah.
that once they get to college or leave
They
school
might
might.
not fancy doing it anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And why
So
can't we have that?
yeah,
We all spend tons of time outside of Cornwall. We all go to the big cities. We all go to walk down the street in Manchester or London or wherever it is, and there's all this kind of amazing stuff happening. But Cornwall's moved so far so quickly. It's not a provincial backwater anymore,
yeah.
and we've kind of got the building blocks now of a great stadium that will be a focal facility, and the possibilities are like, again, it sounds corny, but they're just endless.
It makes it more accessible for people as well, because to be able to make a commitment out of county to
Yeah,
something like that is not everyone's going to be able to do that, no matter how good you are at the sport or how much you love it.
yeah.
So actually, it's that accessibility piece as well, isn't it, around everyone being able to be
The
involved.
responsibilities on us, as the, like I said, the highest ranked club. We've got to make sure we're part of that and help steer that.
I've been up to the stadium and used some of the facilities for board meetings.
Yeah.
What else is going on there apart from just being the home for Truro City Football Club? What?
So we've got an amazing events partner, Wax Events. We partnered up with them. We knew straight away when we met them that they were going to be great for us. They're helping us to co-deliver on some events. So we did the fireworks the other night. It's probably a very, very long time since a National League South team had 2,800 people on a Tuesday night in November. It's a very long time since that would have happened. Certainly in Cornwall, certainly for Truro City, for most clubs in National League South anyway. And so having an events partner like that will really help us make that stadium a great space for people to go to. We can host board meetings there. We can do events in our fan zone, and there's kind of some really interesting stuff we've got planned rolling right through the season into next summer. We want to kind of make match days a real event. We've got a couple of games around Christmas that are really exciting. Got an amazing fixture on Good Friday. We've got Torquay United at home. So there's tons of stuff that we can do, and we're in that weird position where you can do anything you want. You just can't do everything you want. So you've kind of got to say, right, we could do 10 things. What are the 5 things that we could do well?
Yeah.
And realistically, we can probably do 2 of them, but let's do them and let's do them well. And that's probably very much where we are at the moment.
And it's a blank canvas, isn't it? As you say, you could
Yeah,
just, what do we fancy doing? What do we think's commercial? What's
absolutely.
fun? What's.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And that's what we've tried to be deliberately a little bit different to what else you might experience in Cornwall. We're trying to set up a ground and a hospitality and all the rest of it that's just a little bit different, that's a little bit fresher, more vibrant, whatever you want to call it. But that's what's important to us, is that we set ourselves apart and we're a point of difference, because I think that's what people are really looking for and that's what they really want.
And we were chatting sort of as you arrived and the previous sort of podcast guests left around some of the things for children that are going on there, some of the academies and the
Yeah.
schools. So, what else can people be
Well,
involved in?
so we've got there's a great organisation called Truro City Youth, and it's a separate organisation, but we do sort of offer them free entry for the members of that to come to our games. And one of the best things about the footage of our games after you look back is that you see a goal get scored and the player runs off into the corner, and then all the kids from that end of the ground all run into the corner to
Oh.
congratulate the player. It's brilliant, but that's exactly what we're talking about. Those kids can grow up with a Truro City player's poster on the wall and wearing a Truro City shirt. And that's our responsibility to make sure that we fulfill that, because we want a Truro City logo in every business, every hairdressers, barbers, factory, office, and we want one under every Christmas tree, because we want to be the club of the people of Truro, because and of Cornwall as well, because you know Cornwall sometimes does get a little bit forgotten about, and we want to represent.
How have you juggled the commercial side and the community side, or how are you juggling the commercial
Um,
side and the community side? Because community side, you can tell you're really sort of passionate about, and it's something that you want to be able to build on.
Well, yeah, we need to do more, but the reality is that probably will be down to people who've done that a ton in football before, and we've got amazing people involved in our club who know all about all that stuff. I've been doing the operations for the last year, seeing us through to the end of that first season that we were involved, um, getting into the ground, getting up and running. That's all been really fun, and it's probably been the hardest year of my professional life, bar none. But now, in terms of the commercials, we have got some work to do in terms of engaging with local businesses. I think there's always a reluctance from local businesses, not a reluctance, but there's always a wariness, so that they're always a little bit unsure about kind of getting involved sometimes in sponsorship and sport. But actually, there's a lot more to it than that. We've got all kinds of partnerships in that ground that we've used local businesses wherever possible. I mean, you're our accountants, and
Yep.
we've got everything, even down to the fire extinguishers that we bought for the ground, were bought from a southwest,
Yeah.
company with local reps, and um, all of our promotional merchandise is bought from a Cornish company, and we're really trying to engage in the Cornish business community, because that's what football clubs can be. They're always a really good hub to kind of keep the pound moving, and keep everybody connected, and you build almost like a little network of businesses around you, and it becomes like a little club in itself. So it's really exciting to kind of see that come to fruition as well. Again, it's early days, but it's nice to see it forming.
And businesses can get involved through sponsorship.
Absolutely,
Give you
yeah.
time now for a plug. Here you go.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this is where it does get interesting because there's no kind of fixed formula as to what that looks like. I love chatting to people. I love talking to people. It's always no obligation. Everything's just a conversation, basically. If there's businesses out there that like what we're doing and that kind of think that they want to do nice things for Cornwall. I mean, you're an accountant. You know, everyone's got a few hundred quid in their business for something they like. The reality is that we need sponsors and partners on all ends, on all parts of the spectrum. From people who can help us with something that might be seemingly quite small, right down to somebody who wants to say, actually, this is an amazing thing for Cornwall. I'm going to back it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Stick
Let's
my
go on your
logo
front of the
everywhere.
shirt. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's it's just about understanding where people want to be and building it from there. So yeah, there's always a conversation, but I would always just start it by saying, just come and have a game, come and watch a game, come and take in the atmosphere, and yeah, it's exciting, and I think that we have to, the Cornish businesses have to be conscious that they have to support things like us, and whatever that is. I think I've always thought that whatever your business is, you should always be supporting something, you know, because if it's a good cause, and sometimes with sport, people think, oh, it's not a charity, it's not this, it's not that. It still goes back to that raising aspirations piece. It's about providing something that's great, that provides tons of entertainment for our people, for our employees, for our families. Yeah, it's really important, and we can't do it without businesses. So there's always a conversation to be had.
Make sure that anyone listening that will know how to get in contact with you if that's something they want to
Definitely.
be involved in. So what's next for Truro City? What's on the agenda? Anything exciting happening?
In terms of events, we're trying to make every match day a really kind of cool event, and we've got another 14 home games between now and the end of the season. So there's plenty of time for people to get involved, come to a game, and see what we're about. And we're kind of looking forward to now actually the following season. And that's the thing in sport, is you need to be looking at the next season, the
Bit
next
like
year.
accountants.
I guess. I mean, I that's not me, but yeah, we're excited. I mean, it feels a little bit like we just got there with the grounds all set up, and so now we can start to forward plan. But we want to be kind of working 12 months in advance, and we're kind of always pushing out towards that with every passing day and week and month. It's going to take some time, but we'll get there. And I think next summer is going to be great. We're looking at kind of what events we can hold at the stadium. What can we do that's interesting? So that's a nice conversation to be having. And we're doing really well in the table as well. So who knows? We could have some really amazing stories to tell this time next year.
I I'm a little naive when it comes to that side of it. I'm happy to like go along and watch and cheer, but yeah, when it comes to the tables and things, that's not my bag. So
And if you're near the top, you're doing all
okay.
right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today around the football club and how people can support it. I think it's really important, and we'll make sure that everything's tagged in so people can know what matches they can come
Great.
and support with. So thanks for coming on to today's F word.
Thank you for having me.